Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we are doing another how-to for Uncle Mark. Today is going to be the famous how to install an oil injection on these IQR AXYS600R snowmobiles from Polaris. As you can see here, we have the oil pump, we got the tank, various lines. The lines won't come pre-cut, they'll come in a spool. We got our T, cable, a couple of clamps. The stuff you're going to get from Mark on this is going to be all genuine OEM Polaris parts. The tank comes from US Plastics, but the rest is all genuine Polaris parts. Tools needed, we're going to need pliers, 5mm Allen, 10mm wrench, and a knife to cut your line. And let's get started. First, we're going to take off this cover. A couple 5mm Allen bolts, buzz them right out. Toss the cover aside, hang on to the bolts, you're going to need those. And here is the pump. We're going to want to line up this with the driver. Keys right on in. And replace the two bolts you just took out. Probably wouldn't hurt to throw a little Loctite on those. This is just a demonstration engine. Some guys do this with the engine in the snowmobile. That can get a little cramped. We're taking the easy route and the snowmobile's on the bench. How you take it out is all on you. So, up next we are going to route the oil lines. We have the PTO check valve over on the left side here. We have our water pump check valve in the middle and our mag side check valve. These two crankcase check valves are not used on this particular routing. They use those with the CFE sleds, the fuel injected sleds. Instead of going to these two, we are going to route two lines to the carburetor. So we have our first line to be routed. We're going to use the supplied clamps. We aren't going to clamp all of these in the video. We're just going to do the first couple here just to help speed things up. You guys kind of get the hint of what to do after the first few clamps anyways. They're pretty self-explanatory. Line goes on there. I like to start in the hardest to reach place first and route to the easy place. So when you have a bunch of line, you put it where you want, bend it how you want, make your mark, and then cut it. That'll be the easiest. So I went top left to the PTO side. Here is the routing line we have. This came directly from Polaris engineers. This is what they recommend, and that's what we're going with. There's a few different variations out there, but this is the most common and what we got directly from Polaris engineers. So the next line is going to be our water pump check valve. It's kind of a hard one to reach. Carburetor's off, and that's going to go to the top right on the oil pump. And then the last check valve is going to be bottom left on the pump to the mag side on the case. Again, all of those get clamps. We are not doing them in this video to save on time. On the carburetor, there's normally rubber caps on these check valves. Take those rubber caps off. We got one here one here. Mount your carbs. Then we go top center on the pump to the mag side carburetor. Then the PTO side carburetor. It's going to go to the remaining bottom two lines on the pump. These guys go on pretty hard and they come off even harder, but you still want to use supplied clamps. Now I said two lines go into one. You're going to need the oil tee, or the line tee for that. Like such. Last remaining line. And there we are, all plumbed in. Now we want to grab our supply line. That's going to be down here. These are going to be a green clamp, also supplied. That's these guys here. You're going to want to put them on. You're going to want to route this the most convenient to where you have your oil tank. We'll show you the one Mark has on his AXYS600R. You're going to want to route this so it doesn't get pinched, bound up, or caught in anything. And cut off oil, that's not going to be good. So there's that. We'll send that off to the tank. Going to install the throttle cable. The throttle cable, oil cable, installs just like how a typical cable would. Line up the slot on the back side. Key it in. Now, when you thread this on, we want this arrow to be lined up with that line. We adjust it with these 10mm nuts here in and out so that arrow is perfectly on that line. Then you take the other end up to your carburetor how you normally would, and then you may ask, how do I adjust the free play on this throttle cable? You adjust the free play at your lever with this adjustment here. Then you'll mount your oil tank. We'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Mark recommends a oil filter. It's directional. Make sure you have the arrow going with the flow. Here's the clamps, a short piece of line to the tank. Fill your tank up with oil and to bleed it. This is a recommendation out of the consumer manual. Pull this 10mm bolt right on out until you get a constant oil flow coming out that. Should happen pretty quick. Oil comes on down. Once you get oil coming out of that, put this bolt back in, and you still want to mix your first fuel tank in the snowmobile. Mix your first tank, and then when you run the sled, these lines will prime themselves. The air bubbles will work their way out. And yes, we'll show you where Mark has the tank mounted on his AXYS600R up top here. I've seen some guys put it over in this corner, but this is a pretty convenient spot on the AXYS600R here. IQRs might vary a little bit also. We have the protect line here. You can get this at your Home Depot, Menards, in the automotive or electrical department. Otherwise, O'Reilly, Napa, they sell that also. All the parts will be listed in the description below, along with a link to Uncle Mark's Sled Parts on Facebook. Go ahead and give Mark a call, give him a message on Facebook, and he will get you set up with any parts you need for the Polaris AXYS600R IQR 600s. Thanks for watching.